So with Elliot Anderson pretty much with one foot out the door pending the medical, the question now turns to who are Forest replacing him with, and the shortlist has been created. Welcome to your Forest transfer news. Hi guys, hope you're doing well and welcome to your transfer update on all things Forest. Coming up, we're going to talk you through the 4 key CMs that are being tagged as the replacement for Elliot Anderson. We'll go through them, I'll give you my opinions, but more importantly, I want your opinions on them as well. So make sure you like, subscribe, follow, all the usual stuff. Check out OK Jerseys because there's still 15% off if you use code FFTV. You can get your shirts. I got my French one, Zidane, greatest player of all time. The link is, as always, down below, or scan the QR code. All right, let's jump into this. Now, at the time of recording this, I haven't seen a confirmation of Elliot Anderson passing a medical or anything like that, but it is all but done. And also, just something to clear up as well, is this price tag stuff. A lot of people have said 130, 116, I like 115. What is it? What's going on and everything? As far as we know, it is 115 plus 1. Why didn't they just go 115? Anyway, so that's the price for him. Now, some of you may be wondering, but hold on, didn't we reject 121? Wasn't there talks of 130 and all this? I can't clarify it. My guess is basically a guess that the 121 that got offered was probably something like, and I'm making some numbers up, but just as an example, would have been 90 up front and then, 40 or 30 million in add-ons. This one seems to be 115 plus 1 guaranteed cash, right? And I think that's why Forest have gone for it, a bird in the hand kind of rule. So it doesn't break Isak. If I'm not mistaken, I think Isak was 125. But anyway, that's about to get done and finalized subject to medical and everything else. Now, we got to go forward though. Who replaces Anderson? Can they replace Anderson? Can they be better than Anderson? All those questions we need to discuss. There are 4 names right now that are doing the rounds on players that Forest are after to replace Anderson. So I'm going to go through each of them. But before I do, I will tell you this now, right? There is no one who can replace Anderson apart from Anderson. In fact, I can only think of one player. I would say Jimmy Garner, for me, would be the closest we could get to replace Anderson. You know what, Forest? You could do that deal because he's pretty much out of contract. But someone like that, I think would be close. Premier League experience, knows Forest, obviously, having played for us before. I think that would make sense. But, spoiler alert, his name isn't on this list that we're about to go through. So, the 4 players that Forest are looking at. And let me see how excited you guys get by this. You got Curtis Jones from Liverpool. You got Bergvall from Spurs. You got Christino Ulya from the Turkish league. Plays for Ivory Coast as well. He's at the World Cup. And you got David Fratesi, who it's going to be him, isn't it? It really is. So those are the 4 names. Now, let's start with Fratesi just to get him out the way. I don't want him. Not because I think he's crap. I think he's an okay player. But he's nowhere near Anderson. And I don't know what you get from him. I don't know why Forest is so interested in him. But we've done plenty of videos on him before. He's one that I think Forest are going to be quite keen to move on. There's this whole domino effect between between Inter, Forest and Liverpool. And that links in the second player who is part of that domino. Now, Inter want Curtis Jones, Forest want Fratesi, and that would be a domino effect. But at the same time, there are reports. Now, they aren't very good reports. They're coming from Tom Colomos. He's saying Forest are thought to be considering a move for Curtis Jones. Inter are also interested. Inter had a 21 million bid rejected because Liverpool won in and around 30 to 35 million for him. That kind of ties in a bit to what I was just saying to you guys about Forest getting Fratesi, which would then open the door for Inter to have some cash to get Curtis Jones. That's why I'm worried about us getting Fratesi. I don't want Fratesi. So anyway, would I take Curtis Jones? Yeah, I quite like Curtis Jones. I don't think he's as good as Anderson. I think he has attributes. And if you were to get Curtis Jones for about 30, 35 million, I don't think that's a bad deal. I really don't. And then that comes on to Bergvall. Now, Bergvall's a player I think is okay. Again, let me add this caveat. No name is going to replace Anderson, right? It's as simple as that. Anderson defensively, best stats in the league when it comes to a midfielder. Through ball, through the lines, passes and all that going forward, very good. Obviously, we know his weaknesses was goal scoring and, in my opinion, taking dead balls as well. Outside of that, he's pretty much perfect. I'm going to miss him. So we kind of got to temper our expectations a bit. And this brings us on to an interesting one, which would be Christino Olia. I have no idea how I've pronounced his name. He's at Strasbourg at the moment in Turkey. Now, I've seen a very limited amount of this guy. In fact, I've probably seen him more for the Ivory Coast than anything else. Young buck, plenty of potential. He's one of those risk ones, okay? Now, Forest are being linked with him. The fee people are talking about is probably like 30 million, around that mark. He could be very good, but he could be one that just comes over and doesn't adjust to the Premier League. Because no matter what, and I've seen there's a lot of hype about him as well. And I'm not kind of, peeing on the hype parade of it, because there is talent in him. But I'm going to do an ant here. And to use the Turkish league as a benchmark for how good someone is, I don't think you can. Now, also on top of that, his stats are more about progression than breaking up play. So he's one who will advance the ball further forward. So almost like a box-to-box 8 rather than a holding 8, if that's how you want to label Elliot Anderson. Now, you could argue in the team he's playing, potentially they weren't on the back foot as much as Forest were, and maybe his defensive stats could improve. But at the age of 20, there's still a lot of potential for him. But I just look at those lists. So those are the 4 names: Curtis Jones, Bergvall. I'm going to call him Christ, man. I can at least say his first name. And Fratesi. I'll be honest with you, none of them make me think, oh, okay, thank God we sold Anderson. Because we sold Anderson for 116 million. And we're going to get this player in for peanuts, and he's going to be worth 115 million next season. I'm not seeing any of that. Is there potential that could happen? Maybe. But they just don't quite excite me. And I think I have to temper my expectations. I have to think, right, we can't just go and get another Elliot Anderson. It's not going to happen. But we have to be very careful here. Because I would say, like, out of that list, I'd probably say for me it's between Curtis Jones and Bergvall as the replacement Anderson. But if you were going to do that, I would then take a punt on Olia, however you pronounce his name. But the problem with that is if you go and spend 40, and talking on Bergvall, Spurs are talking somewhere between 40 and 50 million, okay? If you would spend, let's just say on the high end, 50 million on Bergvall, and then you spend 30 million on Christ, that's already put you at 80 million, which is leaving you about, 36 million in change from your Anderson money. Already you could have wasted that money very quickly. This is the thing I'm most scared about this summer, is this fantastic Forest have, got 116 million, man. Marinakis can do the old Scrooge McDuck and DuckTales, jump into the pool of 116 million and everything. Fantastic. But that money can go just like that. And these names, they better damn well get this recruitment right. They damn well better, because this is a very, very risky move, whoever they go for. Especially, like, if they were to go for Fratesi, for example, unproven in the Premier League, I don't think he's that great. And then what happens to Forest midfield? If he fails, if we get another Ndoye, you know what I'm saying? Like, the Italian League of midfielders, I look at Freuler when we had Freuler. Okay, Cooper misprofiled him, played him in a 6 when he was an 8, but he didn't really shine that much, even though I quite liked him. And then he goes to, I think he went Bologna, didn't he, after that? And he's doing well at Bologna. He's still doing well at Switzerland. There's some players that are just not suited for Premier League football. And this is where the risk comes in. And this is where I get a little bit worried. So I'll keep you posted on these developments. Obviously, we'll let you know as soon as anything's firmed up on Elliot Anderson. But out of those 4 names, are you looking at any of them and thinking, that's the guy? That's the guy. Maybe we just go with Christ and be like, you know what, take the punt, trust in the recruitment process, and he'll turn into the next Elliot Anderson. Get your thoughts in the comments. Make sure you check out OK Jerseys. Get your shirts for £15. Use code FFTV15 for a further 15% off for a limited time. And we'll see you on the next video. Come on, you Reds.